Commander Veltar stared at the view screen of the flagship Stellar Dawn with growing fear. The thick purple clouds of the Kronos Nebula swirled around his ship like a living creature trying to swallow them whole. Warning lights flashed red across the bridge, and the constant beeping of alarms filled the air. "Commander, the main engine is completely dead," reported his chief engineer, a thin Zephyrian named Kethran. His blue-green skin was pale with worry. "The electromagnetic fields in this nebula have fried all our biocircuits. We cannot restart the living systems." Veltar closed his eyes for a moment. Behind his ship, 49 other vessels drifted, helplessly in the nebula. Each ship carried over 1,000 Zephyrian refugees, the last survivors of their homeworld. They had fled when the Kalar Empire attacked, destroying everything in their path. Now they were trapped in this cosmic storm, with no way out. "How long do we have?" Veltar asked, though he feared the answer. "The hull plating is starting to weaken from the toxic gases," Kethran replied. "Maybe 72 hours before the poison breaks through. After that—" He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of failing life support systems. Veltar looked around at his crew. These were good people, scientists, teachers, artists, and farmers. They had never wanted to fight anyone. The Zephyrians were a peaceful race who lived in harmony with the sea-covered world they called home. They grew their ships instead of building them, and they solved problems by talking instead of fighting. But talking had not saved their world from the Kalar. "Sir," came a voice from the communications station. It was young Merlin, barely out of training. "I am still getting no response from the other ships. The nebula is blocking all internal communications." "What about long-range signals?" Veltar asked. "Can we send a message outside the nebula?" Merlin worked at her controls for several minutes. The bioorganic interface glowed softly under her webbed fingers. "I can boost the transmitter, but it will use a lot of our remaining power. And sir, if we send a distress call, the Kalar might hear it too." Veltar felt the weight of 50,000 lives pressing down on him. If he sent the signal, and the Kalar found them, his people would be captured or killed. But if he did, nothing. They would die slowly as the nebula poisoned their ships. He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the swirling clouds. Somewhere beyond this purple hell, there might be someone who would help them. The galaxy was huge, and the Zephyrians had met many different species in their travels. Most were friendly, though none had been strong enough to stand against the Kalar Empire. "Commander," Kethran said softly, "there are children on those ships, families who trusted us to keep them safe." Veltar nodded. The engineer was right. As their leader, he had promised to find them a new home. He could not let them die without trying everything possible. "Merlin," he said, turning back to the young communications officer. "Prepare a broad-spectrum distress signal. Send it on, all frequencies." "Sir, what should the message say?" she asked. Veltar thought for a moment. "How do you ask for help from strangers who might not even understand your language? How do you explain that an entire species is about to disappear forever?" "Tell them we are refugees," he said finally. "Tell them we are trapped and dying. Tell them we have children with us. And tell them—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Tell them we believe in the goodness of others even though we have seen so much evil." Merlin's fingers moved across her controls. The message began transmitting, spreading out from the nebula in all directions. It carried mathematics to show intelligence, pictures to show their situation, and the desperate hope of a dying people. Hours passed. The toxic gases continued to eat away at their hull plating. Several ships reported that their life support systems were failing faster than expected. Fear spread through the fleet like a virus. Veltar stayed on the bridge, refusing to rest. He watched the communications board, hoping for any sign of a response, but space remained silent. "Maybe no one is out there," Kethran said during one of his regular reports. "Maybe we are alone in this part of the galaxy." "No," Veltar replied, firmly. "Someone will hear us, someone will come." But privately he began to wonder if he had made the right choice. Perhaps it would have been better to die quietly, without giving the Kalar a chance to find them and hurt other innocent people. On the second day, 3 more ships reported critical system failures. The refugees were getting sick from breathing recycled air that was slowly being poisoned. The medical teams worked around the clock, but they could only slow down the inevitable. Beltar had not slept in 48 hours. His second-in-command, a wise old Zephyrian named Tornash, finally convinced him to rest for a few minutes. He was just closing his eyes when Marilyn's excited voice filled the bridge. "Commander, Commander, come quickly." Beltar rushed to the communication station. On the screen was a signal, weak but definitely artificial. Someone had answered their call. "Can you decode it?" he asked. "It is very strange," Merlin said, working frantically. "The mathematical patterns are unlike anything in our databases, but look, they are sending pictures too." The images that appeared on the screen showed a species none of them had ever seen before. They walked on 2 legs like Zephyrians, but they had no gills, and their skin was smooth and dry. They looked fragile compared to the mighty Kalar. But there was something in their faces that gave Veltar hope. "They are coming," Marilyn reported. "The signal says they are coming to help us." For the first time in days, Veltar allowed himself to smile. Perhaps the galaxy was not as empty and cold as he had feared. Perhaps there were still good people among the stars who would risk their own lives to save strangers. He just hoped these unknown beings would arrive in time. Captain Jake Murphy stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, staring at the massive purple nebula that filled their view screen. The swirling clouds looked beautiful from a distance, but he knew they hid deadly electromagnetic storms that could destroy his ship in seconds. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" asked his second-in-command, Commander Alex Turner. The security chief was a tall woman with short black hair and worried eyes. "We have never seen anything like this nebula before. Our shields might not hold." Jake looked around at his crew. The New Horizon was humanity's first deep space exploration ship, sent to map unknown regions of the galaxy. They had been out here for 8 months discovering new worlds and making scientific observations. They were explorers, not soldiers or rescue workers. "Lisa, play the message again," Jake said to his communications officer. Lisa Grant nodded and activated the recording they had received 3 hours ago. Strange sounds filled the bridge, clicks, whistles, and musical tones that meant nothing to human ears. But mixed in with the alien language were mathematical patterns that any intelligent species would understand. "The math is simple," Lisa explained. "Basic addition, prime numbers, geometric shapes. They are trying to prove they are smart enough for contact. But Captain, the really important part is these images." The view screen showed pictures transmitted with the distress call. Beings that looked somewhat like humans but with blue-green skin and what appeared to be gills on their necks. The images showed ships that seemed to be made of living material rather than metal. And most importantly, they showed families, adults holding small children, looking afraid and desperate. "How many ships do they have?" Jake asked. "At least 50, maybe more," replied Chief Engineer Ryan Bell from his position at the engineering station. Ryan was a short, stocky man who could fix almost anything. "The energy signatures are weird, though. Their ships seem to be alive somehow. Like they grew them instead of building them." Dr. Kate Williams, the ship's medical officer, stepped forward. She was a calm woman with gray hair who had joined the mission to study alien life forms. "Captain, if their biology is anything like what we see in these images, they might be amphibious. They could need water to survive, which would explain why they are dying in that nebula." Jake made his decision. "Ryan, can we get through that nebula safely?" The engineer studied his readings carefully. "Maybe. Our fusion reactors are different from anything they seem to have. We might be able to punch through the electromagnetic interference if we reroute power from non-essential systems. But Captain, once we go in there, we might not be able to get back out." "What about weapons?" Alex asked. "If this is a trap, we only have basic defensive systems. We are explorers, not fighters." Jake nodded. The New Horizon carried only 200 crew members and was designed for peaceful contact with alien species. They had laser batteries for clearing space debris and shields to protect against radiation, but nothing that could fight a real warship. "Lisa, Have you been able to decode any more of their language? Jake asked. A little, she replied. They keep repeating certain sound patterns. I think one of them means help and another might mean dying. Captain, whatever is happening to them, they are running out of time. Jake walked to the captain's chair and sat down. He had joined the space program to explore new worlds and meet alien species. Now he faced his first real test as a commander. He could order the ship to continue their original mission and stay safe, or he could risk everything to help strangers who might not even be friendly. Sir, came a voice from the science station. It was Lieutenant Bob Chen, a young officer who specialized in analyzing alien technology. I have been studying the energy patterns from their ships. If they are biological constructs like we think, they might be compatible with our technology in ways we do not expect. What do you mean? Jake asked. Well, human technology is modular. We build things in pieces that can be taken apart and put back together. But if their ships are grown, they might work more like living organs. Our spare parts might be able to interface with their biological systems if we are creative enough. Doctor, Williams nodded thoughtfully. That actually makes sense. In nature, different species often form partnerships that help both survive. Maybe our technology and theirs could work together. Jake looked at each of his senior officers. These were good people who had volunteered for a dangerous mission to expand human knowledge. They had families back on Earth who were counting on them to return safely. I want everyone to understand what we are deciding here, Jake said slowly. If we enter that nebula to help these aliens, we might not make it home. We could lose our ship, our lives, and our mission data. Earth will never know what happened to us. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. Then Alex Turner spoke up. Captain, I joined Starfleet to protect people. It does not matter if they are human or alien. Those beings are asking for help, and we are the only ones who can give it. I agree, said Dr. Williams. As a doctor, I took an oath to help anyone who is sick or injured. That includes alien refugees. Ryan Bell grinned. Besides, this will be the most interesting engineering challenge I have ever faced. How often do you get to jury-rig human technology to work with alien bioships? Lisa Grant and Bob Chen both nodded their agreement. Around the bridge, other crew members were listening, and Jake could see the same determination in their faces. Very well, Jake said, standing up. Ryan, plot a course into the nebula. Lisa, prepare a response to their distress call. Use the same mathematical patterns they sent us and include images of our ship and crew. Let them know help is coming. Aye, Captain, came the responses from around the bridge. As the New Horizon changed course toward the dangerous nebula, Jake felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Humanity was about to make first contact with an alien species under the worst possible circumstances. They had no idea what they would find in those purple clouds, but they knew they had to try. The ship entered the nebula's outer edge, and immediately the lights flickered as electromagnetic interference hit their systems. But they pressed on, following the alien distress signal deeper into the cosmic storm. Behind them, the stars disappeared into purple fog. Ahead lay the unknown. The New Horizon shook violently as it pushed deeper into the purple clouds of the Kronos Nebula. Sparks flew from damaged control panels, and the lights flickered on and off. Captain Jake Murphy gripped his chair as another wave of electromagnetic energy hit their ship. Hull integrity holding at 80%, reported Ryan Bell from the engineering station. But we are taking a beating out here. These energy storms are stronger than anything we have seen before. There, shouted Lisa Grant, pointing at her screen. I am getting stronger signals from the alien ships. We are close. Through the swirling purple fog, dark shapes began to appear. The human crew stared in amazement at what they saw. The alien ships were unlike anything they had ever imagined. Instead of metal hulls and sharp angles, these vessels curved and flowed like living creatures. Some looked like giant seashells, others like massive jellyfish floating in space. My God, whispered Dr. Kate Williams. They really did grow these ships. Look at those surface patterns. They look like coral or sea plants. The largest ship appeared on their view screen. It was beautiful, but clearly damaged. Parts of its living hull were turning black and dying. Through transparent sections they could see movement inside, the aliens Jake had seen in the distress signal. "Captain, I am receiving a transmission," Lisa announced. "It is very weak, but they are trying to talk to us." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The bridge filled with those same musical sounds they had heard before. But now Lisa had been working on the language, and she managed to create a rough translation program. "Welcome as strangers," came a mechanical voice through the computer. "We are grateful you came. We are dying." Jake moved to the communication station. "This is Captain Murphy of the human vessel New Horizon. We received your distress call and we want to help you. What is your situation?" The reply took several minutes to come through. "I am Commander Feltar. Our ship's failing. Poison gas breaking through hull. Life support almost gone. Children sick." Dr. Williams stepped forward. "Tell them we have medical supplies and doctors. Ask if we can send help." Lisa transmitted the message, and soon they received coordinates for docking with the alien flagship. But as the New Horizon moved closer, Ryan Bell frowned at his readings. "Captain, there is a problem. Their docking ports are completely different from ours, and their ship is biological. I do not know how our airlocks will connect to living tissue." Jake thought quickly. "Can we modify our docking clamps?" "Maybe, but it will take hours, and from what I am seeing, their ship might not last that long." Dr. Williams had an idea. "What about environmental suits? We could move between ships in spacesuits and carry medical supplies." "The electromagnetic interference would fry our suit electronics in minutes," Ryan replied. "We need a direct connection." Bob Chen, who had been quietly studying the alien ship's energy patterns, suddenly looked up. "Captain, I think I have found something interesting. Their bioships use electrical signals to control ship functions, just like nerve impulses in a living body. Our computer systems also use electrical signals, just in a different way." "What are you thinking?" Jake asked. "What if we could create a bridge between our ship and theirs? Not a physical bridge, but an electrical one. We could use our power systems to boost their failing life support." Ryan Bell's eyes lit up. "That might actually work. Our fusion reactors produce clean electrical energy. If we can figure out how to convert it to match their bioelectrical patterns." "Do it," Jake ordered. "How long do you need?" "Give me 30 minutes, Ryan said, already moving toward the door. "Bob, come with me. I need your help understanding their energy systems." While the engineers worked, Dr. Williams prepared medical supplies. She had studied the images of the aliens and noticed they had gills like fish. "Lisa, ask them about their atmosphere. Do they breathe oxygen like us?" The answer came back quickly. The aliens did breathe oxygen, but they also needed high humidity because of their amphibious nature. Their ships were filled with moist air that helped keep their skin and gills healthy. That explains why the nebula's dry gases are poisoning them, Dr. Williams realized. Their biological systems are drying out. 25 minutes later, Ryan Bell returned to the bridge with a strange-looking device. It was a collection of human computer parts connected to what looked like organic tubes and wires. "I have never built anything like this before," Ryan admitted. "But in theory, it should work. We extend our power conduits to touch their hull, and this converter should translate our electrical patterns into something their biosystems can understand." "What are the risks?" Jake asked. "Well, we could overload their systems and kill everyone on their ship. Or we could blow out our own power grid and strand ourselves here. Other than that, no risks at all." Jake almost smiled despite the serious situation. "Do it." The New Horizon moved carefully alongside the alien flagship. Using mechanical arms, they extended power cables to touch the dying bioship's hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship began to glow. The black, dying sections of its hull started to turn healthy colors again. Through the transparent areas, they could see the aliens moving with renewed energy. "It worked," Ryan shouted. "Their biosystems are accepting our power. Life support is stabilizing." A new transmission came through, and this time, the alien voice sounded much stronger. Impossible. How did you... Your energy gives life to our ships. We do not understand your technology. Jake smiled. Commander Veltar, this is just the beginning. We are going to get you and your people out of here safely. But even as he spoke, long-range sensors detected something that made his blood run cold. A massive fleet was approaching the nebula from outside. The ships were angular and aggressive-looking, nothing like the graceful biovessels of the refugees. Captain, Alex Turner called from her station. Those ships are armed with heavy weapons, lots of them. Through the communications link, they heard Commander Veltar's voice filled with terror. The Kalar, they followed us, they have found us. Jake looked at his crew. They had come here to rescue refugees, but now they faced an enemy fleet that vastly outnumbered them. The smart thing would be to run while they still could. But as he looked at the alien ships around them, filled with families and children who had already lost their homeworld, Jake knew they could not abandon them now. Ryan, how many ships can we power with our reactors? Maybe 10 or 12 at most. Why? Because we are about to find out if human stubbornness can beat superior firepower. War Commander Thexmore stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Void Render. His yellow reptilian eyes stared coldly at the purple nebula ahead. Behind him, 30 Kalar battle cruisers waited for his orders. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The Zephyrian vermin are hiding in there, he hissed to his second-in-command. They think this cosmic storm will protect them. They are wrong. Sir, reported the weapons officer, a scarred Kalar warrior named Vextar. Our sensors show at least 50 bioships inside the nebula. The entire refugee fleet is trapped. Thexmore's forked tongue flicked out with satisfaction. Perfect. We will finish what we started on their homeworld. No Zephyrian will escape to tell others about Kalar. Might. The Kalar Empire had been conquering peaceful worlds for centuries. They believed that only the strong deserved to survive, and they saw other species as either slaves or obstacles. The Zephyrians had been marked for destruction because their water-rich homeworld contained rare minerals the Kalar needed for their war machines. Prepare the fleet for attack, Thexmore ordered. We go in fast and hard, kill everything that moves. But as the Kalar ships approached the nebula's edge, their sensors picked up something unexpected. Mixed in with the dying bioships was another vessel, one made of metal and composites that no Kalar database could identify. What is that ship? Thexmore demanded. Unknown design, sir. It appears to be sharing power with several Zephyrian vessels, but it is not from any species in our records. Thexmore studied the readings. The strange ship was much smaller than his warships, but its energy signature was different from anything he had seen before. Scan it again. I want to know what we are dealing with. Inside the nebula, Captain Jake Murphy watched the approaching Kalar fleet with growing concern. The enemy ships were huge, angular monsters covered in weapon ports and armor plating. Each one was at least 3 times larger than the New Horizon. 31 ships, reported Alex Turner grimly. Heavy weapons, military formation. They are not here to negotiate. Dr. Kate Williams had been working with injured Zephyrians on the alien flagship. She returned to the New Horizon looking pale and worried. Captain, I have been talking to Commander Veltar through our translators. The Kalar do not take prisoners. They kill everyone, including children. Jake felt anger building in his chest. The human crew had seen the Zephyrian refugees, families who had lost everything, children who were scared and sick, elderly beings who just wanted to live in peace. The idea of cold-blooded murder sickened him. How long until they reach us, he asked. 20 minutes at their current speed, Lisa replied from her station. Ryan Bell looked up from his engineering console. Captain, I have managed to extend power to 12 of the Zephyrian ships. Their biosystems are responding well to our fusion energy. But if we have to fight, using power for life support will limit our weapons and shields. Jake nodded. Keep powering their ships. We did not come here just to watch them die. Commander Veltar's voice came through the communications link. Captain Murphy, you must leave now. Take your ship and escape while you can. The Kalar will destroy you along with us. Not happening, Jake replied firmly. We do not abandon, friends. Through the translator, they could hear the surprise in Veltar's voice. Friends? But you barely know us. Why would you risk your lives for strangers? Alex Turner stepped closer to the communication station. Commander, that is what humans do. We help people who need help, even if it is dangerous. Bob Chen had been studying the Kalar ships with their sensors. Captain, I think I found something interesting. The Kalar formations are very rigid and organized. They fight like they are following a strict plan. What does that mean for us? Jake asked. It means they might not be good at dealing with unexpected tactics. If we can surprise them, we might have a chance. Ryan Bell had an idea. Captain, this nebula is full of electromagnetic energy. What if we could use that against them? Our quantum resonance array was designed to study cosmic phenomena, but I might be able to modify it. To do what? Create false sensor readings. Make our small fleet look bigger than it really is. The Kalar rely on their sensors to coordinate attacks. If we can confuse them, Jake began to see the plan forming. How long do you need? 10 minutes, maybe less. Do it. Bob, work with the Zephyrians to coordinate our ships. We need to make this look convincing. As the human crew worked frantically to prepare their desperate plan, the Kalar fleet entered the outer edge of the nebula. War Commander Thexmore watched his screens as the electromagnetic interference began affecting his sensors. Sir, we are getting multiple contacts, reported his sensor officer. The readings are confused, but it looks like there might be more ships than we originally detected. How many more? Thexmore demanded. Hard to tell in this interference. Maybe 20 additional vessels. They seem to be arranged in defensive positions around the refugee fleet. Thexmore's eyes narrowed. 20 ships was still not enough to challenge his fleet, but it was more resistance than he had expected. What species are they? More Zephyrian bioships? No, sir. Mixed signatures, some biological, some mechanical. It is like different species are working together. This was unusual. In Thexmore's experience, other species were too weak and cowardly to stand together against Kalar might. But the sensor readings clearly showed a defensive formation protecting the refugees. It does not matter, he decided. We outnumber them. Prepare for attack formation Beta 7. We will crush them quickly. Inside the nebula, Jake Murphy watched. The Kalar ships arranged themselves for battle. Ryan's plan was working. The enemy thought they faced a much larger force than they actually did. But Jake knew the deception would not last long once the fighting started. All ships, this is Captain Murphy. He broadcast to both his crew and the Zephyrian vessels. In 30 seconds, we show these bullies that good people do not go down without a fight. Commander Veltar's voice came through the link one last time before the battle began. Captain Murphy, if we do not survive this, know that the Zephyrian people will always remember your courage. We are all going to survive this, Jake replied with more confidence than he felt. That is a promise. The Kalar fleet opened fire, and the battle for the Kronos Nebula began. Red energy beams cut through the purple fog of the nebula as the Kalar fleet opened fire. The massive weapons lit up the cosmic storm like deadly lightning. War Commander Thexmore watched from his bridge as his ships moved into attack formation. Target the largest bioships first, he ordered. Kill the refugees quickly, then deal with whoever is helping them. But as his weapons fired, something strange happened. The enemy ships scattered in all directions instead of staying in formation. Some disappeared completely into the thick nebula clouds, while others seemed to split apart into smaller vessels. What is happening? Thexmore demanded. Where did they go? His sensor officer looked confused. Sir, the interference is getting worse. I am losing track of multiple contacts. It is like they are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Captain Jake Murphy gripped his chair as the New Horizon dove through the purple clouds, dodging Kalar weapons fire. Around him, his crew worked frantically to coordinate their desperate plan. Ryan, how are our false signals holding up? He asked. Perfect, the engineer replied with a grin. The quantum resonance array is making us look like 20 different ships. Every time we move, their sensors think they are tracking new targets. Through the communication link, Commander Veltar's voice came through with excitement. Captain Murphy, your plan is working. Our ships are using the nebula clouds to hide, just as you suggested. The Kalar cannot track us. The Zephyrians had never fought like this before. Their peaceful nature had always made them avoid conflict. But working with the humans, they were learning new ways to survive. Their bioships could change color and shape slightly, making them even harder to detect in the swirling cosmic storm. Alex, status report, Jake called to his security chief. Kalar formation is breaking apart, Alex Turner reported. They are trying to surround targets that do not exist. Their rigid attack pattern is falling apart. Bob Chen looked up from his science station. Captain, Dr. Williams says she is ready with the bioweapon. The Zephyrian healers have helped her create something that will only affect Kalar physiology. Dr. Kate Williams had been working with the alien medical team to develop a non-lethal solution to their problem. Using her knowledge of Earth biology and the Zephyrians' understanding of different species, they had created a gas that would disable Kalar nervous systems without killing them. It spreads through the nebula's natural gas clouds, Dr. Williams explained over the intercom. But it is completely harmless to humans and Zephyrians. The Kalar will be unconscious within minutes of breathing it. Jake made his decision. Release it. Let the nebula carry it to their ships. On the Void Render, War Commander Thexmore was getting angry. His fleet was chasing shadows while his enemies struck from hiding and disappeared again. Several of his smaller ships had already taken damage from surprise attacks. This is not how battles are supposed to work, he snarled. Stand and fight, cowards. But the human and Zephyrian alliance had no intention of fighting fairly. They hit fast and ran, using the nebula's interference to stay hidden. The Kalars. Superior firepower meant nothing if they could not find targets to shoot at. Sir, called the Kalar medical officer suddenly, something is wrong. Crew members are reporting dizziness and weakness. Some have collapsed at their stations. Thexmore felt it too, a strange tingling in his head that made it hard to think clearly. Around the bridge, Kalar warriors were swaying on their feet. Poison gas, he realized with horror. They are using chemical weapons. But it was too late. The bioweapon was already spreading through the ventilation systems of every Kalar ship. One by one, the proud warriors fell unconscious. Their ships drifted helplessly as their crews collapsed. Thexmore tried to reach the emergency controls, but his vision was blurring. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was the image of small human and Zephyrian ships emerging from the nebula clouds, no longer hiding. On the new horizon, Jake watched as the Kalar fleet went silent. Their weapons stopped firing. Their ships stopped moving. The bioweapon had worked perfectly. All Kalar vessels are disabled, reported Alex Turner. No life signs are critical. They are just unconscious. Commander Veltar's voice came through, the communication link filled with amazement. We have won. The Kalar fleet is defeated. How is this possible? Jake smiled. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is to refuse to fight the way your enemy expects. Dr. Williams added, and sometimes, the best weapon is one that saves lives instead of taking them. Over the next few hours, the combined human and Zephyrian fleet worked together to secure the disabled Kalar ships. They found the unconscious crews and provided medical care to keep them stable. When the Kalar warriors woke up, they would find themselves prisoners instead of conquerors. Ryan Bell managed to extend power to all the remaining Zephyrian bioships, saving thousands more refugees. The toxic effects of the nebula were neutralized, and the alien vessels began to heal themselves. What will you do with the Kalar? Jake asked Commander Veltar as they prepared to leave the nebula. We will take them to the Galactic Council, the Zephyrian replied. Let others decide their fate. We are not killers even when dealing with those who would kill us. Jake nodded with respect. The Zephyrians had learned to fight when necessary, but they had not lost their peaceful nature. That was something humans could admire. As the combined fleet prepared to escort the refugees to safety, Bob Chen detected something on long-range sensors. Captain, There are more ships approaching. But these ones are different. They are sending friendship signals. The newcomers turned out to be vessels from other species who had heard about the battle. Word was spreading through the galaxy that someone had finally stood up to the Kalar Empire and won. Commander Veltar's voice filled with hope. Captain Murphy, I think this is the beginning of something important. Many species have suffered under Kalar aggression. Now they see that working together, we can defend ourselves. Jake looked around at his crew, then at the view screen showing the rescued Zephyrian ships and their new allies. You know what, Commander? I think you are right. The New Horizon and the refugee fleet left the Kronos Nebula together, carrying news that would change the galaxy. Sometimes the smallest acts of courage could inspire others to stand up for what was right, and sometimes offering help to strangers was the first step toward building a better universe for everyone.